So, first, a little bit of pretext. Ne? I've played Plague Tale Innocence 2 times before I played this, and I want to recollect some thoughts about that game before we dive into this. So, to put it simply, I really like Innocence. I really, really like it, even though I do not like the epilogue. I think the epilogue should have been straight up cut, because the ending in where the priest is getting devoured by the rats at the end, and Hugo is just looking at him, is for me a satisfying and disturbing enough ending, especially since Hugo's face is very expressionless, and I got the feeling that Hugo was making a decision or was learning something in that moment. And it's one of those scary things where someone who does not have a well-developed mind decides who gets to live and who gets to die, that sort of thing. And then they went into the epilogue where they go to a seasonal festival, like Thanksgiving or something, and it was a very upbeat event. And it kind of makes sense if you don't want your game to be too depressing when it ends. You know, then you just put in that extra little bit to make it more relaxed, more of a happy ending. But I would have liked if Innocence would have ended on a bad to disastrous note, because in the end those rats are a fucking plague. You cannot say that the rats will be the good guys, even so the evil guys got turned into super evil guys, and then had to fight evil with evil, basically. But that does not make one side suddenly the good side. And then having the Overlord also being not fully mentally developed, and then decides this, making decide who lives, who dies, makes it even more scarier, but also more interesting, since chaos in this story doesn't let you expect the things that are to come, you know. But in the end, even after the epilogue ending, everything could happen. The only one thing that most people don't notice about the epilogue that is very macabre is that their mother was still incapacitated from all of the torture and mishappen that she went through by the hand of the Inquisition. So that is something that only gets browsed over, and those pictures you get of her are all just very briefly, but she just lies in the wagon and doesn't even move her muscle. So there was even a good chance that she wouldn't even make it, or would live the rest of her life as a cripple. So even though the epilogue tried to be upbeat, there's still that lingering shadow that not everything is gonna be alright. But that is also why Innocence was such a great story. But then there's also something else to be said, as this is a story-based game. So what that means is it will mostly talk to you through its environment. This I want to make the comparison right now to Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. since that is a story game that basically plays like a movie and has a combat that is more reductive of the game or distracting of the game than the game actually needs it to be. Like in Hellblade, you can see that the combat system is really just there for people that do not have that large of an attention span, or to make this movie more engaging, or turn it more into what we would call today a game, instead of just being an experience. But then there are also games like The Journey, who have also quite low amounts of gameplay, but have this entire vibe going about them that is very relaxing, and I still have to experience it for myself. Only saw footage from other guys, but having to do it yourself is probably something I should do at some point. The point that I want to bring up is that the gameplay that is in Plague Tale is was well woven into these story elements. Everything you learned didn't really feel super abstract. It made sense for the world that I lived in. The only thing that was irritating about learning most of your skills was the little alchemist dude, whose name I have forgotten at this moment. Because he was probably the biggest McMuffin of the entire story. He was just someone who knew everything, and if he didn't know one thing, he would know about the books that could teach him. So, with that being said though, I'm very worried for this game. Like you could already notice from my tone, I was expecting this game to to be honest, I don't really know what I would have would generally expect from this game, because it's Plague Tale Innocence ended on a very good note for a game that I personally do not really know how it would improve, where it would go, or what would even change, you know. But in the end, it also makes it exciting for me to play the new game now, because we are going places. The only thing I would have wished for, but that I already saw in the trailers that we are not going to get, is a way more grim future for Hugo and the world around him. Since we could already see in the trailers that Hugo is gonna have some sort of vision, a place he needs to go to find himself or find the source of his powers. But I would have liked to be the story be more focused around Hugo having to deal with himself, basically, instead of going to a place that will probably provide him with all or most of the answers. That basically he would have to confront his inner devil and either be merging with him or be subjugated. or be in constant conflict with the red hive mind.